from a couple of investors, including institutional investors, is to start this quarterly uh, discussions with the investors. Uh, Primarily objective being not so much update on the fund, which anyways we do give, but more on to expose some of the underlying companies that we have invested in. And today we shall be introducing three companies to you, all of which are at a fundraise mode. A large number of investors today we have are very interested in co-investment. So that's why we want to introduce these companies to you. And if any of you all are interested per se in co-investment, more than happy to initiate the discussions. Next slide, Shreya. So before I uh, uh, get on to I'd quickly give you a snapshot of where we are in the fund. Uh, all of you all know our fund is a $150 million fund, including the green shoe. Uh, we are almost there, and we are pretty positive that by August we would be able to close the fund. We might keep it open for some time for the green shoe part of it. Uh, where we are today is we have already invested in 12 companies, and I shall quickly touch upon these companies. Anil, who's also obviously there on the call, will give you some of the other 3 or 4 companies that are there in the pipeline, which have been approved by the IC and we are looking to invest in them subject to the due diligence. Uh, the thesis of this fund, next slide, please. The thesis of this fund is slightly different from what was there in the earlier 2 funds. Since we have quite a few of common investors from our earlier funds, I'd like to just touch upon the fact that in the first fund, which was a 2016 vintage fund, when we invested, uh, at that point in time, the whole Digital India was rolling out. You had UPI in play at that point in time, and the whole jam trinity of Jan Dhan, Aadhaar, and the mobile phone was starting to play. So most of the companies we invested during the first fund were companies which were enabling this digitization and what we term as India for India. So we had some successful fintech companies, health tech companies, etc. The second fund, which was a 2020 vintage fund, was a time when it was in the middle of COVID. So along with the whole India digitization story, we also invested in a bunch of global SaaS businesses, companies which the playbook was established that the first $2-3 million ARR would come out of India. The product would get established, and then the scale up of these businesses would happen in the Western markets, primarily in US. In this fund, while tactically we would be doing some investments from the earlier 2 themes, but internally we are convinced that it won't be more than 20-30% of the investable corpus. The real focus of this fund is in deep tech. Suddenly today, deep tech seems to be the buzzword in India, primarily after, for those of you who follow the India news, of the Minister Piyush Goyal said that India should start looking at deep tech rather than, light touch businesses as such. We have been doing deep tech now for more than 2-3 years. Deep tech is a catch-all word, and our definition of deep tech is basically companies which have strong intellectual properties, companies which have defensible patents. So, wherein the enterprise value of the company is not merely dependent on the business metrics, but also dependent on the value of the IPs that they hold. I'll just give you a quick macro as to why suddenly today deep tech is become the vogue word in India. Number one, while right now the tariffs are being spoken about, but there has been a China plus strategy playing out for the last 3-4 years, or maybe a bit more. And because of that, suddenly, after a few failed attempts, the Make in India attempt of the government has really started to see, success stories coming out. Also, some of the initiatives which the government initiated, like the PLI scheme, which is a productivity linked incentive scheme, or in the case of semiconductor industry, the design linked incentive scheme, things like this have started to flow down straight to the companies. And some of our portfolio companies have seen the vantage point from these initiatives of the government. So because of this, today, the entire manufacturing and the IP-driven base in India has started to grow. The second very, very important part, and something which may not be known to most people, is within the last 4 or 5 years, there has been a very strong intellectual property stroke patent framework which has come through. And these have started to become very enforceable in the courts of Indian law, which earlier would never happen. In fact, one of our portfolio companies from the first fund, still not a very large company, has won a case in the lower courts of India for patent infringement from another startup. Now, even 4, 5, 6 years ago, this was unheard of, but now we have started to see this come through. At the global macro level, and which I'm sure all of you all are very well aware of, what has started to happen now is the world has started to wake up that there is yet another way of doing deep tech businesses rather than merely the Silicon Valley way, which is, put in money and just keep scaling up. Uh, DeepSeek, as a case in point, has been an eye opener for people to realize that there is yet another way of doing AI LLMs rather than the Bay Area classical way. From an Indian context, if you see, the Chandrayaan launch has been again an eye opener for people. The launch itself, the whole Mars, both the moon mission and the Mars mission, they both happened at a sub $200 million cost. The cost of a typical Hollywood movie, if we take Snow White, was $220 million. So that shows that the world is awakening to the fact that IT services, even SaaS businesses are passe. In that, India's leadership position is very well marked. Now, the next wave of growth we see will start coming from deep tech type of businesses. Within deep tech, we have tended to invest in certain sectors. Some of the sectors which we have invested in deep tech is defense tech. Defense tech. This morning itself, I was reading an article where it said that in the last 10 years, India's exports of defense tech has increased from 2015. It was 536 crores to this year, it was 23,000 crores. And the way we look at it is this is just the beginning. So defense tech is an area which we have actively invested in. Again, the interesting thing is most of these companies start off by having the defense, as in the Indian Army, Indian Navy, and certain other government sectors as the first customers. But very soon, a lot of their products start going into the commercial markets, and we'll touch upon a couple of them. Semiconductor is an active area of growth within India. As with time passes, we all know that semiconductor and AI are going to be the two frontiers where, national, every nation is going to develop on its own. Obviously, for a fund like us, we cannot get into the fab manufacturing side, on the fab side of the business. We are looking mostly at the design side, and if of interest, maybe the OSDM side, but primarily the design side of the business is what we are looking at. Again, we have looking at, within India, just as the financial services market has really grown on the back of certain initiatives launched by the government, we see the same thing happening in the health side. There is a very ambitious project of launching a health stack which will primarily be integrating all health providers, all pharmaceutical companies, and insurance companies into one pool. An ambitious project which has never been attempted anywhere globally. I think that we are, and there are various, different initiatives within that which is at play. So we are actually gearing up for that, and we have quite a few investments we have made within the uh, using nanotechnology and other similar technologies for the health area. We've also invested, if you will see, where we are speaking about the tactical investment, a company called Cube Health, which is basically sitting on the cusp of insurtech and health. So I'll just touch upon some of these companies just to give you a flavor of the type of companies we've done. Orbit 8 is a space tech company. As you well know, in India in the last 5-6 years, space tech has really picked up. There are companies, there are startups outside of our portfolio who have basically commoditized satellite launches and going, almost head on with SpaceX. And however, we have invested in Orbit 8, which is not a launch company, but it is the refueling in the sky. Without going into details, the end ambition of the company is to have space stations, have refuel stations in the sky where satellites would be able to refuel themselves. But as a first step, what they are doing is they are sending satellites as tankers up to the sky to be able to, for each launch, do about 6 to 7 refueling. The whole business model is well established. The company has got certain patents which are first in the world. Even last week itself, they had come to the US to do their second zero gravity testing, and it has gone off very successfully. This company is looking to a launch, hopefully around July. And post-launch, of course, they are sitting on an order book which they will be able to execute. The entire funding into this company, and they are at a stage 9 of a 10-stage process of a satellite launch, is sub $5 million. A similar company in the US, which is at stage 4, has raised close to about $80 million or so. Another company from the defense tech, just to touch upon, is iROV. This is a company in the underwater drones or in maritime solutions. Typically, they started off by providing security surveillance for the Indian Navy. Subsequently, they have moved to other sectors. Oil and gas is a big sector where they are catering to Qatar Oil and few other oil exploration companies. Interestingly enough, the big sector where they are positioning themselves is in underwater tunneling. And in underwater tunneling, they have a solution which can do the maximum level of tunneling, and that's where they are now, focusing for the oil companies. Orasure, it's a climate tech company, and after this, the founder will give you the lay of the land, so I shall not touch upon it. Netrasemi is a very, very interesting company. Again, it's a company which we have started to see at the macro level starting to happen. These are two senior founders, both of whom were in the Bay Area for about 30 plus years in the semiconductor space, working in some of the leading semiconductor companies, came back to India and have started Netrasemi. Interestingly, this company is one of the very few companies who've got access to the government design-linked incentive scheme. So that's a substantial grant that has gone to them, which sits in very well with the type of investment that we make. So basically, our investment into the fund multiplies itself by 3 times based upon the grant that the government has given. This company is making AI chip design and primarily looking at sectors where there is simultaneous capture of data and mostly video, and as well as processing of the video. So they are at a tape out within the next 3 months or so. And obviously post tape out, they're sitting on, they're in active conversations with some of the chip design guys for undertaking their, for the chip making guys to undertake the design. Within this whole area of in health tech that is globally coming out is an area which is based upon focused and customized health for individuals. We have invested within that in 2 companies, both of which are using nanotechnology. One company is called Exure. it's a very early stage company, but already they have been incubated in Japan for over a year. And primarily what this company does is, they use a technology by which they are looking at focused cure for the during cancer. So that typically what happens, and we all know, is uh, when you're doing chemotherapy, not only are the cancer cells affected, but cells around it also get affected, and that in fact causes a faster decline. So they are trying to be very focused into uh, just attacking the chemo cells, so to say. Pycium is another company which is using a similar technology. They are in active discussions with IIT Bombay and are looking to work with IIT Bombay's nanotechnology cell, but they are slightly broader right across a number of realms that they are doing. So this is some of the deep tech companies we have done. On the non-deep tech, I'd just quickly give you an idea. Cube Health, as I mentioned, sits at the cusp of insurance and health, and their go-to strategy is to go to the very large corporates in India and ask them to provide it for their employees. And very successful company very early on. They are sitting on M&A offer from acquisition offer from a large listed company, which if it goes through would give us 2.1 times within a space of 6 months. We are not very keen because we think there's a huge potential and runway for the company to grow. But still, it's always good to get an offer on the table. Vodex is one company which is in generative AI. One of the companies which is uh, providing an outbound solution for dialers. Now they have got the sweet spot. So the first market that they are growing after and aggressively growing with all international clients out of Middle East and US is in the debt collection area, and that's a business which we are very bullish on. The way we look at it, four of our companies within the next 3 to 4 months are going to do up rounds. Three of them will be presenting today, and Vodex is the other one. And after that, we would have the larger up rounds starting to come through of companies like Bonvi, iRove, Orbitate, and Netrasami, because their up rounds are not going to be $3-4 million, but each of them is going to be north of $15 million. So this sort of gives you an idea of the existing portfolio, and I'll hand it over to Anil to give you a flavor of some of the companies which have been, approved by the IC, and we are at the stage of doing due diligence.
Thanks, Bhaskar. Good morning, all. Happy to share about pipe we have post investments what Bhaskar have already shared. We are currently working on 6 interesting companies which are at a different stage of closure or diligence. One is a BioScan Search. It's an Ahmedabad-based company which has developed a scanner using spectrometry, helping scanning brain lobes for hemorrhage. And the product has been well accepted, currently at a run rate of $1 million. If I'm not wrong, they also have an certification to go in European and US market, including FDA. Scano is another interesting company which is leveraging a mix of robotic and AI. They have developed a robot which helps taking 3 pictures of denture, front view, top and bottom. And using AI, they are able to give anomalies around denture, which can be used by dentists to plan out the treatment. And the product has also been helping on upselling dental services, because normally people visit for a specific issues, but after realizing what are the other anomalies, it helps in further preventive care, good for both patient and dentist. Company is also at 1 million ARR. And like Bioscan, this company also have a necessary certification to go both in Western market, including Europe and US. Ziltix is an interesting company which is building in a tech stack, enabling insurance companies underwrite OPD insurance. This company had been working on this product for last 2 years. They went live with their offerings December, and since then they had been able to help insurance companies issue around 1,500 policies, helping them at an MRR of around 30 plus lakhs. Then we have Clues AI, which is getting started to build private cloud. We all know about Google, Azure, AWS, which are public cloud. But as company matures and their operations grows, the public cloud do become expensive, and the size of operation may also create administrative hassles. So this company, realizing this problem, is coming out with a tech stack which will help in managing the private cloud for customers. They are at an idea stage, and we are making this as a co-investment, one of the large VC. Another very interesting company, Deep Algorithm, which we may announce during the month or early next month. This business is in cybersecurity. They are leveraging behavioral issues, building the cybersecurity product. Our company has just gone live, but they are focusing mainly on banking and corporates who may be vulnerable on behavioral cyber attacks. Very interesting. They have built in this product with almost 2 years of hard work and R&D at IIT Mandi. And now they are good to go live with their offering. So they have onboarded one customer and currently in talks with few banks in India. And as Bhaskar spoke about funds interest in space tech, we are investing in another very interesting company, Take Me to Space, uh, being started by a serial entrepreneur. Here, a company is building micro data center in space with an objective to process the images captured via satellite, and only enable customers to download the analytics, thereby reducing the cost by almost 80%. This company is also in process of aligning their satellites for first commercial test. Just like Orbited, this company is almost a similar stage. So these are the some of the new investment which we are looking to make. I think in next 3 to 4 months, each of them will get announced as we move ahead. Thank you. Over to you, Bhaskar.
So again, just touching quickly upon uh, some of the learnings we've had from the earlier fund. In the first fund, we took about 4 years to create the portfolio, and which is why, while some of the companies from the first fund, there is one company which is at a pre-IPO stage, but still the fund had to exit because of the life of the fund. That learning we corrected to some extent in the second fund, and in the third fund, we have aggressively created the portfolio so that after the first close, or i.e. when the fund starts, within 18 months we would have created the portfolio, giving us much longer time to nurture the businesses to enable them to grow and have substantial exits during the lifetime of the fund itself. So more than happy to take any questions, and if there's no questions, I call on the portfolio companies to come and make the presentations. So the first presentation we have is of Orasure, and Akanksha, the founder, she's going to give the presentation. So before she embarks on it, I'd just quickly like to contextualize it. This was a business in the climate tech area